pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't going back. It doesn't matter if it's true. I've got a feeling love will give us what we lack. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. Yeah. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights. Tomorrow feels a year away, like the seconds, the beginning and the end. But if in time it's yesterday, your picture's gonna bring it home to me again. The world is waiting up. The world is waiting half a step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever. When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights.
Oh boy, I cannot wait for this one.
Very good.
And we are live. Welcome to fourth podcasts.
Yes.
Yeah, Teemu, get us going.
So, good morning, good day, good evening, whatever time of the day it is, wherever someone might be. As you may notice, we have an extra face in the broadcast today. Let the man introduce himself. All the
Hi,
way.
I'm Cameron Prairie Dog Carr. I am the English writer for Esports Vikings.
So, this is the first time ever you show your face publicly with us. It's good to have you here. Obviously, what's the time for you? It's 4 a.m.?
4 a.m.
Yeah,
sharp.
4 a.m.
Lovely.
But Cameron was kind enough to join us today. His expertise lies around StarCraft and League of Legends, especially with LCS and some Overwatch stuff. So he might be a little bit quiet for the first half an hour when we speak a little bit about Counter-Strike, ESL Pro League, and Flashpoint. But after that, we are going to shift our eyes towards LEC and League of Legends, where Mika and Cameron will be majority of the talking, and me and Janne will feel educated. And then tomorrow we'll have a special broadcast dedicated for LCS and League of Legends, where Mika and Cameron will be handling that, and me and Janne will be sitting in the crowd, so to speak, because our input would be pretty much irrelevant at that point.
Yeah, tomorrow's broadcast, there is no set time yet because we want to see the GSL Pro Super Tournament before we start LCS broadcast, so we will be tweeting the starting time closer when we know how the StarCraft games go.
But it's probably going to be AM hours for United States of America, and yes, probably AM hours for Europe too. But
It's around the same time as we usually do the podcast, but we will let you know in Twitter, so follow us.
yeah. To jump into the today's topics, let's start with ESL Pro League. We had 3 games yesterday. Where we had you could say interesting results, to say the least. The first series of the day was between Force and North, where Force 2-0'd the Danish squad 16-10, 16-12. Jan, how did you see the events of these games?
I mean, we talked about it yesterday, obviously, and I think beforehand it was a pretty close matchup, like we said, and I was feeling pretty confident Force would at least win their own map pick, which Mika was as well, I guess. And they did, but surprisingly, they also won North's map pick in Nuke, which I really didn't think, because North has been very, very solid on Nuke, and so that was, you know, if anything was a surprise, it was that Force managed to win that map, but they played really well. I think the game was pretty close. It could have really probably gone either way with a few random elements in there, but hey, very good for Force. I think they are looking very good. Obviously, they beat Complexity, now North, but these are the games they have to win to have a chance here as well. So well done. I think a lot of people are underestimating Force a little bit because they usually don't get the spots to the biggest events, but they are always a threat, I think, for even the top teams. I'm not really sure why they seem to not be able to take the next step pretty much ever. It's been years and years, I mean, different lineups and so on, of course, but they always are in the same situation where they can upset anybody, they play pretty well, but they don't take the next step. But this is definitely a good sign for them, and this should really make them go to the playoffs, which obviously is, you know, that should be the goal, and it's a great accomplishment if they can do so. So great start by Force.
Yeah, actually, the game went pretty much as we expected. Of course, they dropped few rounds more in Nuke than we predicted, but we predicted close game. We predicted Force can do something. We predicted both will take their own map picks. Of course, we predicted the North to win the game, but other than that, it was pretty much as expected. But the nuke was pretty interesting because I think North was playing worse than normally. I don't know how Force did that. They make North look worse than normally.
Yeah, I think especially North's CT side looked quite weak, in my opinion. I don't know, it felt like Force were running them over pretty much, because North were definitely in a position to win the game. I think it was 9-9 or so, and they should have really been able to bring it home, but they looked really shaky, and even the rounds they won after that were, you know, really close ones. So, I don't know, pretty disappointing CT side, but close game overall. North is still obviously looking pretty decent. It's not like this is the end of the road for them or anything, because they have a win anyway from the first round. So we'll see. Interesting result though. Force being better than I expected beforehand. Like if we talked before the tournament started, right? So good stuff.
Yeah. Moving on to the second series of the day. I don't even know what to say. Big 2-0's Navi, where Simple is plus 45, 1.79 rating. I mean, he's plus 45. The second best is Electronic with minus 11, Flamey minus 10, Boomich minus 20, and Perfecto minus 22.
I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, honestly. Especially over 2 maps. Like one map, okay, that's something. Like the first game, or the first map rather, on Nuke, Navi loses 16-7. And Simple has 27 kills. That is pretty much as many kills as the rest of the team combined. You know, it's pretty mind-blowing how they managed to lose 16-7. Not just that they lost, but 16-7. They got stomped, you know? I have no idea.
And then Dust 2. Okay, it's double OT, but still Simple has 54 kills. He's plus 31. And rating 1.91, and they still lose.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anything even close to this. Like, this is absolutely insane. We've seen people drop 50 in games with several overtimes, but having a team that aren't doing anything around him kill-wise, obviously, this is a team game. I think sometimes Simple get frags that don't matter. I think Simple, like, even if he has 54 frags, he actually lost them quite a few rounds in the overtime, and that was pretty crucial to losing the game. Then you can't blame a guy with 54 frags for losing the game or something. He carried them, but I have no idea what to say. I don't know how it's possible to drop plus 45 and lose with, you know, 2-0. It shouldn't be possible. That's all.
Yeah, I have one question. I don't remember who said that Big has a chance. I'm not sure who was it.
I think we all agreed on it, but I think you said it.
I think you said that you would never ever bet on Big, and you never should do that, and they have no chance, if I remember correctly from yesterday.
No, but Janne also said that he doesn't want to bet because every single game is all over the place.
Well, I said you shouldn't bet on Navi. I remember that. So, you know, this is a very, like beforehand, it was a very strange game, right?
Yeah,
I don't think there was any value in betting on any of them. But I don't know. It's crazy to me how Navi, like we have talked about this so many times. I'll just kind of go through it so quick. But like being played online, all these factors, this is not okay. Like Navi looked like one of the best teams we ever seen 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, and now it's this. Like, I don't understand how Simple can go off this hard and they lose. It shouldn't be possible. The other players in the team have looked really good lately. Anyway, like this is absolutely unbelievable. I have no idea what to say, and this really puts Navi in a spot where they are probably not gonna go to the playoffs. You know, that's crazy.
Yeah, it was bizarre game. I watched what later in the evening, and I don't know what to say about this game. It was just bizarre show, and as I said yesterday, I think Navi has some problems with online play, and it showed yesterday. I think other than Simple, they don't know how to handle this situation, and it's looking very bad.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
It
mean,
seems to
Simple
me...
is live on Twitch at the moment, so we can go ask him.
We can ask if he wants to join.
Yeah, that would be something else.
No, but
Simple, can you stop your stream and visit our podcast?
You can stream the podcast. It's okay for us. You can host us.
Yeah.
The thing is, what I find really interesting with this is, I mean, all the excuses aside, I think Navi in Katowice looked super, of course they played very good on an individual level, but they also executed strategies, they helped each other, everything was working. And I think in the game yesterday, nothing was working. Like retakes, they looked not organized, the T sides weren't great either. I have no idea how it can become this bad. It really seems like, don't they care? Don't they try? Because I think it's obvious that 2 weeks ago, all of those things did work. So how can it be that bad now? I mean, it's pretty obvious that something is wrong at least. And it's strange to me. Like, it's kind of like this too, right? If Navi is working properly as a team, Simple can't get 54 frags, Like, the reason he can even get that many frags is because the rest of the team aren't getting them, because they aren't playing well. So, I don't know. This is not a good sign. It's good that Simple is playing well, but it also proves to me that the team is not,
Yeah.
Yeah, and Perfecto had like 50 ADR in the series, so that tells something. I don't know what to say about that.
No.
Yeah.
But to move onward a bit, to stay on track with things, I mean, Navi still has 3 series. They need to win all of them to get to the playoffs. They're playing against Complexity and Complexity, Force, and Fnatic.
Yeah.
So they should be able to win at least 2 of those. Fnatic will be the test, but yeah. Right. So the third.
I think the Force will be the test in this case.
Might be.
I mean, honestly, I feel with how it's looking, it's hard to look at them and say they will win all 3 at this point.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The last series of the day yesterday was Fnatic and Complexity, where the Swedes 2-0'd Complexity, and it was 16-9 and 16-6. I didn't see the full game. I only saw parts of it, but it seemed like Fnatic was feeling it.
Yep.
Yep, definitely.
It was pretty dominant. I think they started both maps the first one they started 13-2 up, the other one was 12-3. Like, they dominated pretty hard, like, from the get-go in both of the maps. And I think JW was the one who, I'd like JW for the last few months. He's been playing really well, and I think he did so. Again, he's looking super, super good. Especially, I think he was on Mirage, he was absolutely stomping. So
yeah, Mirage JW went 27 and 14 with 1.69 rating. In Dust, he was in the mid-tier, 10 kills, 11 deaths, but yeah, Brollan was kind of popping with golden in Dust too, so very well done for Fnatic, and it was a well-needed victory. Let's see if they can build on that.
Yeah, and the best thing was that everybody was performing. It was not like Prolanso or JW, so everybody. Only Flusha was minus in kills against death, and it's -1, so it's like everybody played well.
Yeah.
I think there's one thing that stands out to me about Fnatic lately, and I think a lot of times, compared to other teams, they have really strong CT sides. Like, we have a lot of maps that are basically like T-sided, but I really feel like Fnatic is one of the few teams to really, really be able to lock CT sides down. They make it look very easy as well. Sometimes it feels like being back at the days where CT sides are dominant. When you look at Fnatic, when they play well. Of course they have their days as well, but I really feel like they do that super well, and that's one of their biggest strengths. I don't know if their T sides in general are maybe that top level, but I think their CT sides are, for me at least, that's just a feeling, but they seem to have that down like really hard, so that's good.
That's a very very good point, because if you have very good CT side, there's no really it didn't really matter which side you have to start, because if you have strong sides on both sides, well, it's no problem to start CT.
Yeah. Moving on towards today's games. The first series, which starts in about 2 hours, is going to be between NIP and Godsend. NIP is the favorite going into this competition with it's between 1.4, 1.5 odds for NIP, and Godsend is above 2.5. It seems like you can even get over 3 on some betting sites. So quite a big advantage for the ninjas. Godsend does have some sort of upset potential for sure, but I mean they started their tournament by losing 2-0 to Vitality and then 2-0 to Astralis, where NIP has started their tournament in a bit of a better way after winning Astralis and Spirit 2-0. So looks good for NIP so far.
Yeah, but Godsend had the top 2 teams to play against in the first 2 rounds.
Okay, so obviously NIP played Astralis as well, but I really I'll just put it out there. I don't care that NIP smashed Astralis, because Astralis played like fucking shit that day. They just did. That's the truth. I really think this game is closer than the odds predict. I think Godsend are good. I don't know, even in their losses, I think they have shown good stuff, and I think NIP is getting honestly overrated because of their 2 games in the beginning here. Look, maybe this NIP lineup will become really good, then I'm wrong, I'm sorry, but I really saw too many flaws in this team before these 2 games at least, and I think Godsend has a pretty good chance here. One interesting note is that both teams really like playing Vertigo, so I'm pretty sure we will see it, but then again, I'm not sure if anybody wants to pick Vertigo, because you can let the other team pick it because it's a strong map for both, so maybe it will be left for as a decider, which would be really cool, because they would play a 3rd map on both teams' best map. That would be pretty cool. And I'm pretty sure nobody wants to ban it, so let's see, but that's going to be interesting. I really think if you can get like let's say if you can magically find like 3.2, 3.3 on Godsend, I would take it. I think 3 is about correct, possibly, but I don't know. I like Godsend. I think they have a good chance here, honestly.
All right. Second series of the day, which is going to start after the NIP Godsend, is going to be between Vitality and Team Spirit. Obviously, Vitality being quite a big favorite here. They won Godsend 2-0. They won ENS 2-1, where Spirit 2-0'd ENS and then got 2-0'd by NIP. Vitality is the favorite with actually quite similar odds to between 1.4 and 1.5, and then Spirit is closer to 3, above 2.5, 2.6 ish. I think Vitality should be even bigger favorite here, to be frank. I mean, even though Spirit won ENS, and they won a lot of series lately, but all of them had been against lesser teams. Spirit is being overevaluated at the moment.
Yeah, but Vitality is missing their IGL, so their tactical side is not that strong. So I don't think Vitality should be a bigger favorite. It should be a favorite, but not like massive favorite, because they are having problems. Of course, they are getting better day by day because they can manage their strategical side better, but I don't think that Vitality is the same Vitality they were a month ago.
No, but I can agree, but sure. But I think we saw quite a few big flaws in Vitality's game yesterday. I mean, they started really, really strong. They smashed ends like they should have been a 16-0 in the first map, basically. But
Yeah.
I really think after that they looked pretty weak and they looked kind of lost. They were honestly kind of lucky to even win Dust 2 to win the series.
Yeah.
And that's ends, and that was not an ends that played like amazingly or anything. They stepped it up, but I don't know. I'm pretty torn here as well. I wanted to say that Vitality should be quite a big favorite. I still think they got more skill in general than Spirit does. Same as like playing ends or whatever. I think they should win, but Spirit is not a walkover for anybody. Spirit's a pretty damn good team, honestly, and I don't know. I think the odds to me look quite correct. Like I think something like 1.5 for Vitality, 2.5 for Spirit. That's probably where it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
Fair. Fair.
it's a boring answer again. Yeah, like they should win, but there's a chance, whatever. But I have a really hard time just saying it one way or another here. I think it's gonna be fairly close. I wouldn't be surprised if it goes to 3 maps. Like I think it's gonna look like the Ends game yesterday against Vitality, something like that. It's gonna be fairly close. Maybe both teams can pick their map and blah blah blah, something like.
All right. Then the last series of the day for ESL Pro League is going to be between the Danish powerhouse Astralis and ENCE. So, yeah, I mean, Astralis 2-0. Everything else seems impossible. I mean, the odds kind of speak for itself too. I mean, it's 1.1 for Astralis, and you can get over 6 times the money with betting on ENCE. So
I don't know. I don't see how ENCE is gonna win this or even take a map. I do agree. I think ENCE yesterday was a step
can I just pause for
the
1
last...
second?
Sure.
The reason why Cameron's camera is frozen is that Cat jumped on the power button of his PC, so his PC turned off.
Oh, nice. That's really good.
Yeah, please, Janne,
Welcome back.
continue. Welcome back, Cameron.
Sure.
Is that something that happens often?
At least once a week, yeah.
You need to build a cage around your PC.
Lock it outside.
Yeah. Okay, so back to Astralis and ENCE.
All right. So I think honestly, I am being very negative about ENCE in general, but I think yesterday they showed at least some hope. It was a much better performance than we've seen for a while, and Vitality is not a bad team, so that's good. But I think Astralis, as much as the first game against NIP, they sucked, they lost, whatever. Against Godsent, they really showed why that they are, Astralis again or something, and I think. At least it shows that they are hungry to, be here, show up, be the real Astralis, take back the #1 spot, hopefully. I really think they will come to this game and just want to be as good as they possibly can, and ENCE will feel the wrath of the Danish dominance.
Yeah,
That's how I see it.
Yeah, to be honest, ENCE had no chance against Astralis even when they were playing well. So Astralis has always been a tough opponent for ENCE. And in this situation, it's impossible opponent for ENCE.
I really think so. It's really hard to see anything else than a 2-0 here.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
I mean, I'm just starting to think, is there any map even ENCE can pick that would be... I don't think they have anything they can really pull out of the hat here. Like, there's no Vertigo. ENCE likes playing Train, but Astralis are definitely not a bad Train team by any means. I don't know. It has to be a 2-0.
I think maybe they pull out the Dust 2 and just try to frag better than Astralis. I think that's
maybe.
the only way.
It's actually funny. It's funny because ENCE only has, in my opinion, one map they are decent at, and it's Train. Yeah. And that's basically Astralis' best map, so...
Yeah, exactly.
It looks pretty...
Okay, and the next one up. I'm just gonna send in a tweet quickly. We will go through the 2 Flashpoint games we have today, and then we jumped into the League of Legends. The first Flashpoint series of the day is gonna be played between Envy and MIBR, where the Brazilian squad is the... Oops, excuse me. It's the sparkling water trying to get out of my body. MIBR are the favorites versus Envy. What do you think we can expect, Jan?
We can expect Envy to win this game.
You feel so?
Yeah, I actually think so. Honestly, I think if I haven't checked the odds, but I'm on it, so I'm checking something. I
MIBR is
think
favorite.
if you can get, yeah, if you can get 2.3, 2.4 on Envy, it's already good enough. I really, MIBR is a fucking train wreck. Honestly, they can't win games. That's just how it is. They are being terrible right now. I've seen they played Complexity. Well, I brought it up here. They lost 16-2, 16-9. Then they played Chaos and they lost 2-0 there as well. They are playing horribly. As much as I want to believe that players like Fallen and Fur and whatever are gonna step it up at some point, they are not. And Envy, I've seen their games as well. Some of them, I think it was they beat Chaos and then they played Gen G and they almost won that game. And Gen G has shown to be a pretty good team. I don't know. I think Envy is gonna win this game. It might be a little bit of a surprise, but MIBR right now is very, very bad.
Yeah, here's a good tip for today.
Yeah, and second Flashpoint series of the day will be between Dignitas and Cloud9. As you can see, Cameron is rocking the Cloud9 merchandise. I think it's because of League of Legends, because this Desert Man does not follow CSGO that much. But what do you think, Cameron? Dignitas and Cloud9?
I was really, really excited to see OC signed with. It was a couple months ago. I'm pretty sure I saw it. Doesn't look like they've lived up to the hype the full squad. So
I don't know. As far as I know, I saw a few games with them early on, and they did a little bit better than I expected. But then it has been kind of up and down. I suppose every time they played some better teams, they crashed and burned basically. Oh yeah. It was they played the Katowice qualifiers where they beat some lesser teams than they won against Complexity, and in the final they beat MIBR 3-1, which was a pretty big surprise at the time. But then after that, it's been basically kind of downhill since there. And in Katowice, they lost to NIP Astralis 2 quick games, but that's not really, that's kind of expected either way. So
Yeah, I mean they did qualify for ESL 1 Rio by beating Livid and Mythic 2-0 both. And they've played one Flashpoint series so far when they beat Fun Plus Phoenix 2-1. And
yeah, it's respectable. It's not bad at all. Like honestly, Fun Plus Phoenix or the old Heroic Squad, they are not bad, So
No.
I don't know. Cloud9 is definitely. I think people underrate them a little bit, especially maybe where we are from, right? Most people are not familiar with these players, and neither am I, for what it's worth. So they are doing pretty well, but I'm really curious actually to see them play Dignitas, because I think people are underestimating these old veterans.
Yeah,
the thing is, Forest has been looking insanely good for the past half year with NIP before they shifted to Dignitas. I'm not fully convinced of, because it feels like Forest, Gedrite, Exist, and Freiberg just wanted to play together again, and Halzerg is kind of this young gun they just kind of took on to. I love Gedrite, and I think Dignitas can do big things, but at the same time you have to wonder, did the train pass already?
I think this team will do better than people believe. The only reason I don't feel like I really think Dignitas would win against Cloud9 quite convincingly if they had Holzerk there, but they are playing with Guardian, and well, I've been on
yeah.
Guardian's neck for like a lot lately, but he's not playing well. Last game he stood in was against Orgles. They did win, but Guardian was like the weak link in the team. It was pretty obvious. He's obviously standing in, so whatever. But
Yeah,
that's the
Guardian
big
just
issue.
joined the team 10, so they had no time to practice with him.
Yeah, of course. So that's the downside here. I really, though, it's funny to me because Getright has been one of the players who played the best in this team from what I've seen, and that is is very interesting. They seem to be taking this very, very seriously. Like this is not a let's go here and play. We are old. We are gonna have some fun. They are taking this for real, and they want to be as good as they can possibly be. And I really think they are doing much better than people expected. Me too. It's funny because they almost won against Fnatic as well when they played. That was the Rio qualifier, and it went to 2 maps. Both went to overtime, and then they did get smashed in the third map. But they really put it there to Fnatic, you know, and it was a great game. And Getright was basically carrying NIP in some of those maps, which I did not expect that to happen. But I do think Dignitas should be favored against Cloud9 today, even if they have Guardian in the lineup. So,
All right.
I like what I see from the old guard.
Fair. Well, that's enough of Counter-Strike for today, and it's time to shift our focus into the League of Legends. And is it League of Legends LEC European Championship?
Yep, that's correct.
I have a question, and I was about to ask this question for about a year now. What is it with Finnish people and calling it the LAC? Isn't it the LEC?
Yeah.
LEC.
Yeah, you always say A, LAC, and I'm like confused for a tenth of a second every.
Yeah, LEC. Why do I say LA?
I have
Because
no idea.
because the way you pronounce E in
Yes.
Finnish, So in Finnish you would say LEC, so LEC.
Mhm.
LEC, LAC,
I just had to bring it up because it's been on my mind for so long now.
Yeah.
You say Esports?
No. No, I don't say Esports. I say Esports, LEC. Yeah. I'm very sorry. I will fix my behavior.
I would say LEC
Right.
from this.
LEC.
LEC. It's only
Yeah, from
LEC.
now on it's LEC.
Yeah, it's LEC now.
Are you gonna watch some LEC today?
Yeah.
Okay. LEC is the name of the league, and League of Legends is the name of the game. Cameron and Miga, the stage is all yours, and I will shut up for the majority of this.
Yeah, today we're going to see what are the standings right now. We talked about a little bit, I think was yesterday or day before that, about the League of Legends. But now we're going to look a little bit further this weekend's game. So LEC is played Fridays and Saturdays. So 2 games per team per week. So every team plays 1 game Friday and 1 game Saturday. So it's quite a busy weekend for the teams and also for the viewers. So here are the matches for today, but before that we're going to look the standings a little bit. Oh, that's not the right standings, LCS standings. Now it's the right standings. So here is where we go, and as you might know, the LEC has been off for 1 week because of the corona situation, and now the games are played online for the first time in league history. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that shakes things up. But G2 Esports are leading the table as was expected. Origin and Fnatic are following the G2 also as expected, and The next teams are Rogue and Misfits and Mad Lions, and those 3 teams pretty much are secured for top 6, and the top 6 are the teams that are going to playoffs. And important thing here is that top 4 teams are going to start the playoffs as winners bracket, and 5 and 6 are going to losers bracket. So, Cameron, what do you think about the standings?
Well, I gotta say, man, G2, yes, they're still first place, like we predicted, but they didn't get there nearly as easy as they should have, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
With Origin and Fnatic trailing only 1 game behind, there's 4 games left to be played. G2 might not finish first. Heck, Rogue could even sweep it if they wanted to, but... And then... Excel could maybe beat Mad Lions for that 6th place spot, but...
Excel is playing all the top 3 teams.
Yeah. It's a rough road for them. And I just think, for me personally, the Schalke 04 8th place, I was so high hopes for them coming in, and they just did not deliver.
Yeah, Schalke was way higher in our season preview.
Wasn't it Schalke that had some roster changes and their players were actually tweeting out, apologizing to the fans for their performance? That it's actually been like a quite big bummer.
Yes.
Not just for the organization, the fans, but the players have been devastated about it. It
Yeah.
seems.
Yeah,
Some of them were tweeting out apologies.
Yeah,
Okay.
One of them. Okay, I actually gonna find out the tweet we are talking about. Let's wait a second. If it's not deleted, I think maybe not. Let's see if I can find. Yeah, here.
Because one of the reasons I had them so high up in my power rankings and coming into the season was Forgiven coming back from his stint in the military. He used to be one of the best ADCs in the world during his prime time. Then he went into I believe it was the Greek military. Finally comes back, gets on a roster, and then the roster tanks, and he is not happy.
Yeah, so the tweet that Forgiven, the returning ADC legend, tweeted was, "In my 7+ LoL career, I have always played to win and be competitive. As of now, at least, current roster doesn't fit in this principle. Schalke is unable/unwilling to make changes to fit that goal. So we mutually agreed that I step down until and if they are willing to do so."
Which that's just
Yeah, that's something else.
Okay. It's pretty blatant.
Yeah, and the best part of this is that when they changed out Forgiven, they started to win games. So Forgiven was out, and immediately they played better, and immediately they started to win. Though they had 0 wins with Forgiven, and now they have 3 wins without Forgiven. So yeah. But
It's hard to say, but kind of. Yeah, it seems like he was part of the problem and not the solution.
yeah, and that's not the only team that has the same situation with Forgiven.
Okay, so he's just generally a toxic player.
Yes,
Yeah,
very much so.
times were different in his day, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Wait, who are we talking about?
Forgiven.
Forgiven.
Okay.
Teuvo, can you link the tweet for Janne to see?
No, yeah,
Because
I'm linking
I cannot do that right now.
yeah, it's in the Discord now.
Yeah.
But yeah, So moving on from Schalke
Yeah.
towards the schedule.
Yeah, we will. We will just look out the tomorrow, today's and tomorrow's matches. So we have a preview in our website. Also, it's made over a week ago because the games were supposed to play last weekend, but they're played now. So go check that out. But now we're going.
I'm linking it in the chat.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit about the matchups. So, for starting, the Mad Lions against SK. SK is bottom of the table, and Mad Lions is actually pretty hot these days. So this is pretty one-sided match. And Mad Lions had some problems in week 7. They've been in a hot streak, but they lost some games last week that was played. So now it's good chance for them to come back and get their confidence back. Especially for Karsi, their rookie ADC, which has made quite a debut for the league. And actually, his Twitter is hilarious, so I think it's Karsi lol. Go check it out. Young guy who's made a big deal about himself and is playing very good and has very, very good Twitter. So I can guarantee entertainment there. So that's pretty much no-brainer. Mad Lions gonna win that. No questions asked. Pretty much same thing goes for Schalke against Misfits. Misfits needs to win to get top 4. Schalke is better after Forgiven left, but still not on the par with Misfits. What do you think, Cameron? Does Schalke have any chance in this?
No, I mean, Misfits has showed up huge, man, and Schalke, Inax is. I'm pretty sure it was Inax.
Yeah, Inax. Yeah.
Inax is a great player.
Yeah.
But he wasn't. He's not enough to. Schalke is in a position to play spoiler, but not too many spoils to be had, honestly.
Yeah. And Misfits is also actually the one team that has stepped up the most if you compare to our preview for the season and team comparisons, because we both put Misfits in the bottom of the table, but they're actually up to top 4 position possibly. So that is something else, because Misfits had such a bad year last year, and now they've stepped up. Even if they didn't change much in their roster, but they stepped up. Everybody stepped up, the coaching and the players. Yeah. Then. Yeah.
So the third series is then going to be between ESL Esports and Fnatic, and by the looks of it, it should be Fnatic's game, no?
Yes, it should be, but this is very, very, very important and interesting stuff, because Excel's coach is ex-Fnatic coach. It coached Fnatic for 2 years and now changed to Excel. So they now Fnatic inside and out. So this is always interesting, and I know Young Buck wants to win against Fnatic, and they lost the first one. So I'm pretty sure Excel is going to come hungry for this game. But I think Fnatic has been maybe the strongest team in the last few weeks after shaky start. So I think this is totally Fnatic's game. But if some team outside the top 6 can upset Fnatic, it's definitely to Excel.
Has Excel been starting Kasing, or have they been starting Tor?
I don't know actually. They've started both of them this season. So Tor has been the main, but they have played Kasing I think 1 or 2 games. So I'm not actually sure which one is going to start. I think both of them has been underperforming, so I don't know if it's any matter which one is starting.
And who was Tor last year? I forget.
Huh?
Tor
Norskeren.
changed his name.
Norskeren.
That's who.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, they should start Norskeren then. Okay.
They should.
Fourth series of the day. It's between Origin and Team Vitality, and
Yeah.
one could say that Vitality shouldn't have a chance.
Yeah, they didn't have a chance. The Vitality team is they are youngsters. They are just getting used to this level of gameplay, and they will be better in the summer season. But this season is totally over for them.
I have a question,
Yeah.
and I found this pretty interesting. I already found it interesting before you talked about these two games. If we talk about XL Fnatic and Origin Vitality, so Vitality and XL have the same odds to win. I don't. How does that make any sense? Because it still sounds like XL should have a chance against Fnatic, but
Yeah.
Vitality shouldn't even have a chance against Origin.
Yeah. The thing is that I don't know why, but I think Fnatic is always getting lower odds than maybe them should be. Higher odds than it's a bigger favorite than it should be. Let's say it that way. Fnatic is such a I don't know why or how they've done nothing to earn that respect, but I think the sides are giving Fnatic more praises than they should have. I think that's the main reason for that.
Yeah, because I was pretty curious, because it sounds to me like, okay, so I checked a few different sites, but it seems like 4.5 on XL is kind of normal, and it sounds like a pretty good bet, honestly.
Yeah.
If they have a chance, like compared to maybe at least the Origin Vitality game where the odds are the same, but it seems way more.
The first 4 games, if there's going to be one upset, it's going to be XL, and it's not going to be SK, Schalke, or Vitality.
Yeah.
In my eyes,
That's pretty interesting.
But the betting sites are making it impossible to bet on Fnatic, because Fnatic is always getting lower odds than they should be.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely is. And the last one is pretty much the only even remotely closed series in the day. It's G2 against Rogue. It's not close, but it's closer than maybe other.
It's funny because the odds are the same in this game as well. Like all the three games, the last 3 games of the day have exactly the same odds, on one team.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's 4.5 on Rogue and 1.16 on G2, which sounds pretty good again. Like G2 definitely, they already dropped some games, right? And
yeah, G2 is the most dominant team of the league, definitely. But
they've still dropped 3 games.
Yeah, but they I don't know what happened them for 2 weeks. They just chucked for 2 weeks. It's like the Navi in ESL Pro League. I don't know what happened to them. They just sucked for 2 weeks in a row. They lost they've lost to Schalke, and they lost I think Mad Lions, and which was the third team? I think maybe Misfits. So they dropped, and they dropped 0 wins Schalke. They dropped a game for them, and it was something else. But it seemed like they just totally forgot how to play this game, and it's possibility it will happen again. It has happened again. It happened in the past. Like they've dropped out similarly in the World's Finals last year. They just didn't know how to play the game when the games really mattered, and now they did the same in the group stage of the LEC. So it's a team that can drop games in a bad day, and they are having those bad days. But in a good day, they are the most dominant team that has ever been in LEC. But they don't always play those good games, and when they play badly, they play very, very, very badly. So I think if some of the top teams are going to drop games, it's going to be G2 because they are the ones that has done it before.
All right.
That's an
sure.
interesting take, considering that like the break there's been a week break, so the teams have, for sure, part of it has gone to make sure that they are okay and take care of their families and close ones. But at the same time, they are quite dominantly leading. Well, Origin and Fnatic are one win away, though. But still, they are the strongest team on the standings, and yet still it seems like G2 in your eyes is the team to beat and the team who can fall. So it's definitely a very interesting point.
Yeah, and one point that has been a downfall for G2 in the past is that they try some very strange stuff sometimes, and
All right.
and they Fnatic does the same, but I think when Fnatic comes and they try things, they are coming in prepared. They have tried it in a scrims. They have done it before, and they do something. They know this will work. But when G2 comes with the new idea, they might get it in a champ selection. Okay, I have an idea. Let's do this, and they do that, and that's something that kicks them down sometimes. For example, the Caps, their current ADC, he's done it multiple times before. It's just saying in the champ, like, I want to play this champ, and then he does it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. But the team is full of big personalities, big egos, and so I think their coach is more like helping the players than leading the players. So the players are the ones who are making the decisions, and sometimes it's really bad for them. But in a good day, they have fun. They easily win their opponents and do it in such a dominant fashion.
Fair. Cameron, obviously following LEC from where you are is difficult due to the time zone difference, but obviously I know that you still follow the league, and how do you feel like the rest of the spring season will fall?
I don't expect it to change much more from what it is. I think if anyone's gonna take over first place, take it from G2, it'll be Origin, it won't be Fnatic or Rogue or Misfits. But even that's a slight chance. I think G2's got it pretty much. All of G2's players are great. Origin, I would expect to keep second place, beat Fnatic out. Rogue and Misfits, I personally think Misfits has shown to be the better team, so I think Rogue will end up in 5th, or Mad Lions, man, they came on and just wrecked. They might steal 5th place from Rogue. Bottom of the table set. That's not much is gonna change. Maybe Mad Lions gets 5th over Rogue, and then maybe Origin gets 1st over G2. But
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a funny. I don't know if it's funny in anyone else's, but Mad Lions has become kind of this outcast in Counter-Strike who's beating big teams, and according to what you're now saying, it seems like they're also doing it in League of Legends. So one could ask, what are they eating at breakfast in the Mad Lion studios?
Yeah, Mad Lions isn't the new phase in League of Legends scene because they are multiple times Spain league winners, and they took the Splice's place in LEC, so they're like known organization in league scene, but I think in other games they are not that known.
All right.
Yeah, but maybe we get quick.
And that was pretty much the perfect example how to ruin a funny joke with facts.
Yeah.
The Cheerios, man.
Yeah.
But maybe a quick rundown on tomorrow's match, and then we will go to CSGO.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because just the thing, you will do the League of Legends solo stream tomorrow. So I was thinking if it makes sense that if we do the tomorrow's matches, because they don't start until the evening. So if we do, because I don't know if you're gonna stream at least for an hour tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
So if it's between an hour and two, then you can dive deeper into kind of LEC. Why is it so hard? LEC and LCS together.
That sounds good.
Because I think it's better than just rushing over 5 different matchups in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So for all of League of Legends people, I think these are my time zones. So it starts at 6 p.m. approximately. The games and they run until 11 p.m. / midnight ish, depending on how long the games take. But
it's pretty much 5 hours. It's 1 hour per game, pretty much. So it's 5 hours of games.
But one could say it's very good day for esports scene in general. We have Flashpoint returning, what? Okay, LEC and LCS returning. Good things are coming along. Thank God we have the chance to play these things online, because without traditional sports, it's quite dull. And if we didn't have esports, I would be probably I don't even know what I was doing. So
yeah, I'm gonna run out of monitors this weekend.
There's a lot going on. Just want to mention the Dota 2, the WeSave charity play tournament starts today.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that too.
And
the first game
TSL Super Tournament continues also.
Yeah.
Oh, is it already starting? The We Play to Save?
It's the Southeast Asia games are starting like literally right now. They'll plan to start at 1 p.m. Central European time. So then the CIS region will play today as well. I think South America and NA, but the European games are gonna be live. The first one tomorrow.
Okay, so there's hell of a lot of esports to be watched this weekend. Hopefully there's not too much of overlapping, because I kind of want to watch a little bit of everything. If just a few sentences about Dota, I mean, Team Liquid versus OG and Secret versus Nigma. Hello. I mean, those are two like potential TI finals.
Sure.
Yeah, this is also Navi versus B8, so you have Dendi going versus Navi, so it's kind of, there's no real rivalry, I would say, but it's still kind of a nice thing.
It's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
What's .A?
What's what?
What's .A?
.A?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what you mean now.
Oh, it's okay.
I'm confused.
Dota. LAC.
These puns, man. It's just
Sure.
Oh my god. Cameron, do you want to go to sleep or continue with Counter-Strike with us?
No, I'll stay. It was fine.
You'll stay?
Yeah.
All right.
GSL won't be over for another 2 hours tomorrow, so.
Okay. Well then, it's time to start something new. We are doing this because of what I said earlier, that esports is the only available sports at the moment that you can watch live. Because all traditional sports are on pause. So, with that said, there are quite a few people on this planet who don't really know what esports is or have never watched it for whatever reason. Um, and for the when you start watching an esports game for the first time, it can be quite overwhelming, I would say. And because of that, we want to help. So today we start going over Counter-Strike Global Offensive, also known as CSGO. The idea behind it is that we're just gonna put a VOD of a previously played game rolling from YouTube, and we're gonna start talking about what you actually see on the screen. And due to that, we want to help you understand what you see to be able to enjoy the entertainment to its full potential. Counter-Strike is quite a straightforward game to begin with. I mean, it's a 5 versus 5 FPS, which means first-person shooter. You have terrorist versus counter-terrorist. So basically, you have a terrorist versus police setup. The basic idea of the game for terrorists is to try to plant a bomb, and for the counter-terrorists to oppose that. You play 2 times 15 rounds, and the first to win 16 wins the game. First, you start with either as a counter-terrorist or a terrorist, and then after 15 rounds you change sides. So that means that you can lose the first half 15-0 and then win the second half 15-0 to force overtime. Um, so that's kind of where the game begins. The game we are going to watch is Astralis versus Navi from the semifinals of IEM Katowice 2020. We won't have sound on because it would be the casters talking, because this is from YouTube. It, it is possible to also watch it directly from the game client, but for this purpose, it's better to not have the casters because we would be talking over them, and then it would be kind of a clusterfuck to follow. Mika, Janne, Cameron, do you have any starting words or something you would like to add before we start the footage and start discussing what people are going to see?
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I think we can get in. Well, Mika has something, but I think while we roll the footage, we can, start going through what's going on in the game, and that's it. But Mika, you.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. Do you think it's large enough, or do you want me to make it larger?
I think, is it going to be full screen, right? So
If I go full screen, I think we cut out the top stats, so I have to do some talk a little
okay.
bit. So I will make
Yeah.
make one thing here. So I will.
Yeah. A few things to add. Obviously, if any one of you who's watching at the moment have any questions at any time, please type them in the chat and we'll do our best to answer each one of them to the best of our knowledge. Obviously, because this is live, it's not so fast paced, but we hope that that also helps with being able to catch up and kind of go back to certain things again if something seems unclear. We have scheduled about an hour for this, so basically we still have 55 minutes of broadcasting time left. It might take half an hour, it might take 55 minutes, who knows? But yeah, if you have any questions, please ask, and we'll try to explain everything as well as we can. Obviously, some things we might not be able to explain completely, but it's also like at first it might seem really overwhelming, but in time it gets easier and easier to understand, and once you kind of get through the basic fundamentals of the game and you kind of start picking it up quite fast. One of the hardest parts is going to be to understand the caster slang. But again, that's one thing that comes with time the more you watch the obviously if you have the chance to test out playing it yourself too, that's going to help also, but you can only just watch it and enjoy the entertainment without doing anything yourself. But yeah, Mika, how are we?
We are almost good to go. So
Okay.
I just have to yes, make it a little bit smaller so we see our beautiful faces and
The
then
smaller our faces are, the better, because we aren't beautiful.
I can make our faces a bit smaller and the CS a little bit bigger. So now I just rename it so I remember what is going on.
Alright, I'm gonna make a
Yes.
post to LinkedIn, and I'm ready.
Yes. Now I have the
Alright.
new scene on, so you can tell us when to go.
Okay, press play and we can start rolling. You can skip a little bit. Hi Daniel, how you doing? What is it? Monschmeister.
There's like 10 seconds of extra,
Yeah.
so I don't think I'm going.
Let's go. Press play. So, as you can see, esports is played on massive stadiums. This is from an arena from Katowice. They unfortunately played the game for empty arena because of the coronavirus. You're welcome, Daniel. We're happy to help. So, one of the first things that you are going to notice is that they are changing the picture basically all the time. So they're changing the POV of the player you're watching. While you're watching the game, you can see the X-ray, as you can see in here. So you can't see through the walls and boxes and everything, but the players do not see that. This is actually something that we who watch these games a lot take for granted, but it's actually a question that pops up quite frequently. Is that, well, how, if the players can see each other, why aren't they reacting? So the players do not see the X-ray, only the viewers do and the casters. And while the players are playing, it's practically impossible for them to abuse this, especially now when the games are played online. There's a delay of couple minutes, so it means that even if a player watches this stream while they're playing, what they see comes delayed, so they can't abuse it. Sometimes during the broadcast they change the views to the players themselves, sometimes to the audience, like in every sport you see. And this way you can also kind of get a hold on the reactions of the player. You get the replays and slow motion stuff, etc. Right. To go with like the very basic stuff that you see on the screen, if we can pause here for a second, we have the most basic information. So on the top, you can see the teams. You have Astralis and Natus Vinci, aka Navi. You have 0 and 1. That means rounds 1. So at the moment, Navi is leading 1-0. On the top left, you have the minimap that's visible throughout the entire game constantly. That is one very important way for you to start keeping track on what's happening, because from that you can see where each player is. Obviously, in the beginning, you don't know the maps that well, but if you're looking at the minimap, you get an idea on how the layout is and where the players are moving. Then another important thing on the bottom left and right, you have these interesting looking, are those score guards or what would you call them?
Sorry, I was blocking.
Like an infograph.
Yeah, infograph. So you have the name of the player. So here on the left we have the blue side, and blue means that they are the counter-terrorists, aka the police, whose job is to stop the terrorist attack. In this case, you never see the real names of the player because in esports their gamer tags are what they're called with. So Astralis has Device, Dupree, Magist, Zipnix, and Glaive. On the left side, there's a number 100. That means how much health they have left. There's the picture of this shield. That means they have armor purchased. And Device has a shield with nothing. That means they only have armor. And Dupree has that small kind of triangle inside the shield. It means they also have a helmet. It's important to know that some weapons have one-shot kill potential. So if you shoot to the head with certain weapons, you die instantly. And with helmet, you can avoid that.
Yeah, and
with
it's important to note that player models always has helmet on, even if they didn't buy it. So your opponent cannot say if you have helmet or not by the player model.
Yeah. The only way to find out is if someone has a helmet is that if you shoot them to the head with a pistol that doesn't kill with one shot, even with a helmet, because you can hear a certain sound.
Yeah.
And then moving towards the right, underneath the name, you see a number and a dollar sign. That means how much money the player has at the moment. What separates Counter-Strike from other FPS games that are alike is the economy. Because in other games, when you respawn in the start of each round, you can get the weapons you choose. In Counter-Strike, you have to buy them. So economy in Counter-Strike is a massive fundamental. It's very important, and it separates this game from others because you get gold from winning a round, from losing a round, from kills, and the amount of money that you get from kills depends on which weapon you are killing with. So the most expensive weapons give least money, and the cheaper ones give more. So this is an essential part of Counter-Strike because these good players, it's not just they're just counting and making sure how much your team has money, but also how much the opponent has money, because it affects everything. If you know that, okay, you have money to do a full buy, which means you have a proper armor, helmet, a rifle, and utility in the form of grenades. And if you know that the opponent has a full buy, you need to play in a different way. Whereas if your opponent is very low on economy, it means that they might only be rocking pistols, and again, that changes the way you need to play. Then moving towards the right from the dollar sign, you have images of weapons. So in this case, you can see that Device has a pistol and a scope. This is the weapon is called a Scout. There are 3 different sniper rifles in Counter-Strike, and that's the cheapest one. So if you look at now the Astralis team as a whole, they have pistols, some of them have armor, and nothing else. And where else, if you look at Navis on the yellow side, they have AK-47s, SMGs, they have more utility in the form of grenades. And so you can also kind of from this image, you realize that, okay, so Navi won the first round, their economy is better. This means they have better weapons, they have more utilities, which means they also have an advantage. Because of that, as you can see on the minimap now, you have 4 blue dots in the same place, which is really rare in a map. Usually, you don't want to have 4 players at the same place normally, because that leaves the entirety of the other map open, basically. Because Astralis only has pistols, they are stacking 4 players in one place to get or surprise Navi. But because this is professional Counter-Strike, this is as high level as you can get, the opponent is usually also expecting that. But this is something kind of good to understand. Something that I should have mentioned earlier before is that each round is 2.5 minutes. And in those 2.5 minutes, there are few ways for both teams to win. So it's either you eliminate all opponents before the time runs out, and then you win the round. And then for terrorists, if you plant the bomb, it's either the bomb explodes, or you eliminate the opponents before the bomb explodes. For counter-terrorists, or CTs in this case, either you eliminate all opponents, or then you defuse the bomb after it has been planted.
And if you eliminate the opponents, you still have to defuse
you
the
still
bomb.
have to defuse the bomb. So when terrorists plant the bomb, CTs have 40 seconds to defuse it. Diffusing takes 10 seconds, but you can lower it by half if you buy a diffuse kit. So if you have a diffuse kit, you have to start diffusing at 30-second mark exactly, or you won't have time to defuse it. So the maximum one round can take, if it's planted in the last seconds, is about 3 minutes and 9 seconds. So this is the basics, and now if we start, if we put the footage rolling, we can start kind of seeing what's happening and how the game continues. Again, keep in mind that the players do not see the X-ray, so sometimes they do things that are might seem stupid, but it's because they do not have the X-ray than you do. Now, the way each Counter-Strike round rolls is based on a lot of different things. Usually each of the teams are trying to go for early pickoffs, meaning that they want to get a kill early in the round to make some space on the map to be able to kind of take hold of a portion of the map, which means they know that it's safe and it gives them information. The early game of Counter-Strike is about information and trying to get the first kill, because that's going to give you an advantage. It's 5 versus 5, so when you lose a player, that's minus 20% of your roster, and it's very significant. So these early rounds, in the beginning, it's everybody can only afford a pistol, so the team that wins the first round has an advantage going in the second and third. It is always unlikely for the team with lower economy to win, but there is always a possibility for that. I've been talking a lot now, so please, Janne, continue from this.
I wanted to add a few things, I guess, in the early game, or actually, the first thing you were talking a little bit about seeing players through walls and stuff, and I don't know if you mentioned, because my internet had some issues here, but the minimap is obviously also a case where that's very different for the viewer and the players. And you do have a minimap as a player as well, where you can see your teammates and where they move and where they are. But then when you actually see an opponent, you can also see them on the minimap or where they were spotted. Just wanted to mention it because I had that question come up yesterday, actually. Other than that, I think there's obviously, you mentioned it a little bit, Teemu, but the difference between playing the two sides is quite significant, as one of the sides need to attack and one of them needs to defend, obviously. So the terrorist side who's attacking, they would in most cases move together more than the defending side, the counter-terrorists, right? So you can see that in almost every round. It's a little bit different, like you mentioned, when the economy is low, for an example now Astralis is by in this round that we are watching. When it's low, then you try to be a little bit more creative because you fight with a disadvantage, right? You're trying to surprise your opponent because you need to get an advantage somewhere, because otherwise you don't have none because you don't have the weapons. But so in general, you can see the blue side or the counter-terrorists spread out over the map, since they are defending and they need information where the attack is coming. That's why they are spread out, to put it very in the simplest term possible. But the attacking side would usually go together, as if you go let's say 2 or 3 players and you come up against one, you obviously have an advantage. And even if the counter-terrorist can kill one of your guys, you can take advantage and kill him back, and then you create a good opportunity or opening for the terrorist side. So the two sides play very differently just from the fundamentals of the game. And I think it's important to understand, like you can see, I think we're at the beginning of a round here. You can see Astral is spread out over the map, and so does actually Navi in this round, even if they are the terrorist side. But I'm sure that we will see later on in this round that the terrorist side will go together towards one objective, which is quite important to understand that there's a big difference in playing the two sides.
Yeah, and this fourth round is actually pretty significant because it is the first time that both of the teams are playing with the full weapons and equipment. So this is really significant for both of the teams to win this.
Yeah, and actually a good thing now is to go over the utility. So you've seen some grenades flying around. So in CSGO we have 5 different ones. We have a flash grenade, which is literally a flashbang. Then we have a smoke grenade, as you can see here. Well, that was the flash. If for a player, the flash, it makes your entire screen white for a few seconds and you can't see anything. Smoke grenades last for about 15 seconds and they block view completely. You usually don't want to go through a smoke grenade because you don't know what's behind it. And if you walk through the smoke, the one who's watching it from the other side sees you before you see them. Then we have a HE grenade, which is just like a normal explosive. And you have the Molotov cocktail or the incendiary. And then you have the 5th one, which is a decoy. And the decoy literally makes the sound, shooting sound of the weapon that you're carrying yourself. Decoys are really rarely used because pro players kind of know that no one's shooting just for fun somewhere, because information is so crucial in CSGO that using a decoy doesn't make sense in the pro scene. It's more like waste of money because people kind of know, they are really well aware. We call it's called game sense, that out of all the information that you gather, because every time someone sees something or you see a smoke grenade, this is reported in TeamSpeak between the players. So if I see a smoke somewhere, I say smoke here, flashbang here, a HE grenade here, Molotov here. That means on how many people you have. If you see someone running towards you and you see a smoke grenade coming behind them, you know that there's 2 people at least. And these are the kind of crumbs of information that players are telling each other constantly. So it might seem, especially when you are looking at the best players in the world playing, to a certain extent, it seems like they're cheating sometimes. It seems like they know things that they shouldn't know. But that's the game sense and all the information and experience that helps them to that situation.
Yeah, and the pro teams, they have call outs for every possible position in the game. Every box, every ledge, they had some kind of call out because they need to go out. Okay, we need to get a smoke grenade in that box, and everything has a name in this map and every map. So that's how they know where something is. If they said they smoked this and that, so everybody knows where the smoke grenade is, even if they don't see it.
Yeah. Another good thing, kind of mentioning now that we're talking about the utility and the economy, just when each round is starting, you can see the equipment value of both teams. For terrorists to have full buy, if they are having just rifles, it means that they spend around 4.5 to 5k each. For CTs, they need to use a bit more money because the diffuse kits are a bit more expensive, their rifles are a bit more expensive. So there is this kind of weird dynamic in the sense, but when you look at the equipment value of each teams in the start of each round, you can get an idea on who has the upper hand. But there is always kind of a chance in it too, in a sense, because even with just pistols and nothing else, some teams can win, or any team can win a round against full buy if they get lucky.
So I guess the main takeaway from that is that the Counter-Strike or counter-terrorist economy is more difficult to handle and it's more expensive. So more often you will see the counter-terrorists do a save where you don't buy anything, so that next round you can buy everything. That happens quite a lot because, especially since it's in general, it's always more important to have utility as grenades and defuse kits and all of those things as the defending side. As the attacking side, you will almost always see teams when they are low on money, they will still buy a little bit. They will buy a pistol, maybe they buy a few grenades because they can still buy the next round. So the small differences in prices still makes a big difference in how it's played. So I just want to add that more often we'll see the CT side save, but the terrorist side very rarely does because they get more money because they can plant and so on, and they also spend less money on their equipment. So
yeah, and as we see that round, the device didn't go for the fight after all his teammates were gone, and he wanted to save the AVP weapon. So because if he lost the weapon, he wouldn't be able to buy it back next round. So he went to hiding and didn't want to lose his weapon.
Yeah, and
it's very important points because if you realize you already lost a round, or your chances are very, very low of winning, saving your weapon and your equipment and your armor is worth a lot. Because, like Temu said, a full buy for a CT is like about 5,000-6,000, and you can save all of that for the next round if you just survive, right? So very important and good point.
yeah, and to kind of start opening a little bit of these words we're using. So AVP stands for AWP, which is the big green sniper rifle that you can see Simple holding and Device holding in this round, for example. It is the strongest weapon in the game. Usually just one player in the team uses it because it's slow to fire, and in close quarters it's really useless. So you just usually want one player to kind of open up the map to do this kind of heroic plays, you could say, even with the sniper rifle, and then the rest of the team is usually supporting in a way with rifles and just one sniper rifle. Then you have a couple different options for rifles. For CTs, you have the M4A and M4A1S, which means you have a M4 is a normal rifle, and then with the S is a silencer one. And then for terrorists, usually the gun of choice is AK-47. Now, you can see that the weapons that player have look really different. Some of them have these cosmetic items on them, or cosmetic skins on them. They have
everyone has some skins.
Yeah, they have no impact on the gameplay. It's only visual. But good thing to mention is that some of these pixels are worth thousands of euros. So it's an interesting take, and people like to play with nice looking guns, but it has no effect on the actual gameplay. So each map has a B bomb site and an A bomb site. I don't know why I said B and A and not A and B. But there's always A and B bomb sites, and you can only plant the bomb in certain areas in those bomb sites. Like here in Dust 2, if you look at the minimap, in the top left corner is the B bomb site, and on the top A corner is the A bomb site. It varies on every map how they're set up and how they look, but it's usually always relatively same amount of time it takes for CTs to get to the bomb site. CTs can always get to the bomb sites quicker than the terrorists, because if CTs can't get there before, it's really hard for them to defend it. In Dust 2, which is the map that we're looking at the moment, Dust 2 is the most legendary map in Counter-Strike history. It has been played since probably 1.3, 1.4. There's been some minor changes to it, but overall it has been the same since the dawn of time, and it's still probably the most common map in Counter-Strike.
I think it's by far the most played map if you look overall. And like you said, the fundamentals of the map has been the same forever. And I also just want to say, just when we're talking about maps, it's most maps in CSGO are kind of close to each other or the same size. They do differ, but there is no maps that are like, significantly bigger. Most of the maps are this size, and the timing to get from one bomb site to another or from where the terrorists spawn to the bomb sites is usually fairly similar. There's no massive maps. I just want to put that out there. So this is the normal gameplay on every map.
Yeah, and just a reminder at this point, if anyone in the chat have any questions regarding anything, please just type them out and we'll answer to the best of our knowledge.
About the maps, the biggest difference is that some maps are in 2 floors, like Nuke and Vertigo. So the minimap is looking a little bit different in those because they are having 2 floors, and so they're like having 2 maps in the minimap section, and that's pretty much the only real difference between the maps.
Yeah. Here, while we're watching the game, and you can see which player's POV you're looking at. It has the face cam of the player, it has the name. Then you have the KAD, which stands for kills, assists, and deaths. To get an assist in Counter-Strike, you need to either do over 41 damage to an opponent? So if you make 41 damage and your teammate kills, you get an assist. And then you can also get an assist if you from a flashbang. So if you flash an opponent, meaning that you throw a flashbang grenade to blind your opponent who doesn't see anything, and then your teammate gets a kill as the follow-up, then you get a assist because you assisted on the kill with a flashbang. These are kind of small details, but they are quite significant for the gameplay because those flashbang assists are very important, and they can be a decider if you win or lose a map. Like one flashbang can decide that. One good flashbang can throw your opponent blind in a situation where they have to win, and then if you miss a flashbang or you flash your teammate by accident and they get killed, it might mean that you lose a map. So things that to take under consideration. Obviously, the game is somewhat quite high tempo. There's a lot of happening constantly, but if you just watch it for a few hours, it gets easier on the and now we could start shifting our talks a bit towards the slang that we hear during these games from the casters.
Maybe we should go first a little bit about the top bar, because it makes watching easier, because it gives you like everything you need to know how the game and game series is going, because there's there's team names here, and there are the round wins in this game. So it's Natus wins here is winning by 6 rounds to 1, and this tells you which round we are playing. So it's maximum of 30 rounds, and if it's 15-15 after that, it's overtime, and this is telling you how much time is available in this round. And this is best of 3 series, so this will tell if any team has won a map before this map. But this is the first map, so it's 0-0 in the best of 3 series. And this right side tells you how many players is alive at the moment. You can always see that from the player cards too, but this quickly tells you how many players there are alive.
Yeah, actually good to mention on that. It was a good point to make. And then, like on the bottom left and right where you have the graphs, when it goes gray, it means that the player is not alive anymore. So the yellow and the blue is also their kind of the amount of health each player has. Each player has 100 health before each round, and it's always fulfilled. There is no way to heal, so when you take damage, it doesn't reset until the next round. So if you don't die and you survive with 1 health, you start the next round with 100 nevertheless. But there is no way to get more health after you've taken damage during a round.
Yeah.
Now, as you see, Perfecto died, so he has the skull instead of the yellow showing how much health they have left. Good thing to mention also is that planting of the bomb takes about 4 seconds. So if you start planting when there's 3 seconds left on the round, if the terrorists start planting the bomb when there's 3 seconds left, it means that the counter-terrorists. So if the time runs out and the terrorists have not planted the bomb, and there are people alive on both teams, it means that the CTs won the round. So terrorists have to eliminate all CTs or plant the bomb before the time runs out. Now you can see underneath Natus Vincia, you see the red bar fading away. That's the bomb timer. So it means that Astralis has that amount of time left to defuse. But in this case, they are going to save their weapons. As you can see, the bomb is planted in B site, which is on the top left corner, and the CT players, the blue dots, are hanging out on the A side at the bottom of the pit in A long, just to save their weapons because they are low on economy, and they rather have these 2 weapons for the next round than go and lose and have nothing. In this case, if the terrorist economy is good, they would go and hunt for these players because ideally you don't want the opponent to have anything for the next round if it's doable. So in this case, after you plant the bomb, if it's 4 versus 2, 2 CTs and 4 terrorists, and you know that the terrorists have good economy, you can send 3 players to hunt for the remaining 2 just to kill them to get their weapons out. Again, because of the economical situation, which is really crucial. It's something that needs to be emphasized a lot because it makes Counter-Strike very different from other FPS games because the economy is the key here.
Yeah, and
Another,
one more thing about the overlay of the stream. This is the overlay that ESL has in their tournaments, but different tournament organizers usually have their own overlay. So some of the info might be shown a little bit differently, and it might have some extra info, and it might be. But some info might not be there, so if you watch different tournaments, it might look a little bit different. So it's not always. This is not like the like basic game overlay. It's the ESL's own overlay, but ESL has the ESL Pro League now, and it's the biggest tournament going on. So this is a good example how the biggest tournaments look like, and some tournaments may look a little bit different.
I think it's like this, right? They are different, but if you understand one, you understand them all.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Yeah.
So they are pretty much the same thing at the end of the day, even if the look is different.
Cameron, you've been silent for the past 40 minutes. I know that you've been watching Counter-Strike, obviously not as much as we do, but is there something you'd like to add, you'd like to say, and how do you think someone who's completely new to esports or Counter-Strike, what kind of advice would you give?
I hit DMG in my prime days. What really helped me get to understand Counter-Strike was playing it with my friends. Having people that know how to play it made it really simple, but if I were to simply learn just from watching it, then I would say, watch a tournament from start to finish and you'll definitely pick up almost everything. It's a simple game at its base, and then once it gets to this level, these players play on a very complex and high skill cap level, but they're still doing all the basics. And the casters are gonna explain pretty much everything, every single game, so it'll drill it into your head almost like it was school, right?
Yeah.
I really think that's one of the reasons CS has been so successful, because it is very simple. It's very easy to understand from what the goal is, what's going on, but then there is also a level of strategy and skill that the players have, and something that you can understand as a viewer too. But you don't need to understand those things to enjoy the game and understand when it's a close moment or something amazing happens. You will understand that with very basic knowledge, which is something that probably like MOBAs and other games have an issue with. So I agree completely with Cameron that it's very basic and very easy to understand as a beginner, but then there are layers after that to learn, which is amazing.
Yeah, and there's next to nothing in randomness section of this game. Pretty much everything you do, you know how it goes, and there's no random elements in this game. But it might seem to new viewer that they are throwing their grenades and smoke grenades and everything like random positions, but every single grenade you throw, you've practiced it dozens of times, and you know exactly where it will land most of the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there is no randomness in that.
Yeah, I actually linked the viewer guide of Counter-Strike from our website to the chat.
Yeah.
It's also available in Finnish and English. It's pretty much a rundown of the things we've been talking about here. We've also added some caster slang in it, so that's going to help a little bit, because some of the words that you hear might be very uncommon. Like, for example, they don't talk about kills that often. They call about frags quite a lot. So frag equals a kill. Utility always means grenades. And these kind of things. There are kind of, let me just do. Then, so for example, Molly means Molotov cocktail, or incendiary if you're CT. Then there's these kind of call-outs, like names of places you might hear: heaven, hell, catwalk, stairs, long, checkers, ledge. And these are kind of like call-outs for different positions on different maps. And to be fair, the only way to actually start kind of figuring out what do they mean in each map is by playing. But if you watch a lot and you're a quick learner, so when you know that, oh, Simple is standing on the ledge, and you see Simple standing on a ledge in a map, you're like, okay, so that's ledge in map A, and these kind of things.
Well, I think it's quite good. If you watch a lot of Counter Strike, and even if you're new, these callouts are used a lot, and I think it's quite easy to get a hang of the most basic ones. Like on Dust 2, we would have long, and we would have catwalk, and we would have dark or tunnels. The names usually represent something you would understand anyway, right? So I think it's quite easy to learn the basic callouts from watching as well, because they will use those words a lot, and they are quite easy to pick up. So I just want to say that, because you don't have to play the game to start learning, if you
Yeah.
just want to watch it.
Yeah,
And
there is callouts that are pretty much in every map. For like heaven is like pretty much in every map. There is place called heaven and things like that. So, and long, and connector. Those are the callouts that are available in every map. So there is not that much, not that many different callouts that you might think, because they use the same callouts in every map.
And in the sense that if you hear someone saying, oh, there's one in heaven and one in hell, it usually means that there's someone on an upper level and someone on a lower level.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of common sense. A term that's I want to bow out that is clutching and clutch. So you hear someone, oh, Simple clutched, or device clutched, and oh, he lost the clutch, or he won the clutch. Clutch is a term casters use when a player that is at a disadvantage in a round comes back and wins the round for this team. This can be when the player is 3 versus 1, or 4 versus 1, and or 2 versus 1 even. and wins the situation. So you can say that, oh, he clutched it. So when someone is clutching or someone clutches, it means that they won a 1 versus 2 or 3 situation, or even 4. If things go crazy, some people 1v5, but it's rare, really rare. And ace is another term you can hear, and ace means that a player alone eliminates the entire enemy team during a round, so gets all 5 kills. That's an ace. And
one term that I'm not sure if you said it in the beginning or not, but the kills are called frags in CSGO.
Yeah, is it?
yeah, and then in other languages there are a lot of different terms. Like in Finnish, they use the word härkä, which means bull.
Yeah.
So someone had 50 bulls in a game. And peeking refers to a quick movement from a player in a corner or a doorway that they either do to hopefully bait out an AVP shot or to get a better idea of the positioning of an enemy player in the area. So you can just peek, like you can show your shoulder from a corner and you can see what's happening over there, but it's not, you're quick enough so the opponent doesn't have time to kill you. So you only show like part of your shoulder, but you actually see the doorway. And peeking means that because when you peek, you can see a red dot in the minimap if there's an enemy, if you see the enemy. So by peeking, you can get information without having kill potential. You can get really crucial information. And so you can hear that, oh, he peeked. Oh, Simple was peeking double doors for me in middle. So that means Simple being a player in this case. So when I say Simple, I don't mean someone is Simple, but one of the best Counter-Strike in the world. Counter-Strike players in the world, his gamer tag is Simple. So that's why you hear me saying the word quite a lot. So the casters might say that Simple peeked double doors with an AWP. So that means that he checked a position with an AWP in the game. But this has been 45 minutes so far, and I think we've gone through pretty much all the essentials and kind of the basics of the game. I don't think it makes sense for us to start like casting or going through this more, because the best way for people to kind of start learning and pick up on what we've been discussing so far is just by watching the games. And frankly, in about 15 minutes, there's some ESL Pro League to be watched. So the layout of the game is going to be the same that in here. And the level of Counter-Strike will be really good because ESL Pro League holds the best teams in the world at the moment.
It's a really good tournament, and just want to correct you because it starts at 14:25 every day, CET.
Okay, so half an hour.
Yeah, about 45 minutes, half an hour, whatever. But
Yeah.
you know, I think like you said, it's quite easy to understand the fundamentals, and that's enough to start watching. And then, you know, you will pick up things all the time if you watch it, right? And you'll start seeing patterns. For an example, like this team throws these smokes or these grenades the same way every time. They seem to do it very like a good job here, or the defenders are doing it some way, right? You start seeing that there's a lot of strategy involved, and you'll also start seeing, you know, patterns in how people attack bomb sites and defend them, and you go step by step, right? But the fundamentals are easy, and I think that's what makes CSGO one of the best games out there, you know, just to watch as an entertainment. And it's an amazing game. More people should watch it. Simple as that.
Well, some people were saying that CSGO is a dead game, but they just broke their, is it consecutive? Concurrent player amount, which was over 1 million. So CSGO is doing pretty well, you could say.
I think it's interesting, you know, when we had other games like, for an example, if we compare to Dota, for an example, CSGO at one point had less players, but the viewer amounts are still bigger than Dota. And I think that's just because it's a super fun game to watch. And, you know, especially in like these clutch moments and last rounds of the game, they can be, you know, now it's going to happen. And amazing things happen in those rounds and in finals and whatever. You know, it's a little bit different from some other games. So it's an amazing viewer game. basically.
Yeah, and CS:GO is a great game even if you don't have hour or two to watch. You can just open the stream and while you're eating you can watch like 5 or 6 rounds and you still have enjoyment of that. But if you open a Dota or League of Legends games middle of the game and
Yeah, you need to see it from the beginning.
yeah, you have to see the whole game. But then you watch CS:GO, you can open the stream for few rounds and still have the enjoyment of the game.
Yeah. And luckily now, even though Corona has taken over the world, there's ESL Pro League going on. There's Flashpoint going on. ESL Pro League has tier 1 teams, all the tier 1 teams. Tier 1 meaning the best teams in the world. Flashpoint has tier 2 slash tier T, tier 2 slash tier T3 teams, but it's still very good tournament. And there are definitely more to come. I mean, more and more events are turning or tuning toward being played online rather than offline in arenas, but this just means that we have ongoing entertainment for a longer period of time now. So we have something to enjoy even though all the traditional sports are on pause.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of good CS:GO going on right now, more than usual, to be honest. There's hell of a lot. So
Yeah,
and that's basically from midday in Europe until late night. So
yeah. Any last words? I think this is pretty much. Yeah, Cameron, please.
Yeah, so we're looking at a commercial. We're looking at commercials right now because there's a quick intermission because they have reached the halfway point in the game, and I just think probably should just mention that they do swap sides. So the counter-terrorist players are now going to be playing as terrorist players, and the terrorist players will be playing as counter-terrorist players.
Yeah, that's actually very good to mention. So as you can see, Navi won the first half 14-1, which means they are now 2 rounds away from winning the game. And if I remember correctly, this game didn't take much longer.
Yeah, and there is 7 different maps that is played in competitive level, and the which maps are going to be played are decided by picking and banning them. So, in for example, the best of 3 series, both of the teams first ban one of the maps away from the series, then both teams pick one map they want to play, and then both teams ban one map, and the last one available is the decider map. And if you pick one map, your opponent can choose which side they will begin the game.
Cool. Yeah. So that's the basics of Counter-Strike, I would say.
Yeah.
It's been almost an hour. So yeah, this will be uploaded to YouTube, just like the others. I'm actually going to finalize yesterday's VOD soon and upload that to YouTube. Today's VOD will be available maybe today in the evening or then tomorrow by noon-ish. Tomorrow we will have the special for League of Legends. We're gonna tweet out what time the boys are going to be going live. So it's going to be the LEC and LCS previews. And then on Monday, we'll have our normal news podcast. And then the second hour of Monday will be dedicated for educational League of Legends content. So similar way what we did now with Counter-Strike, but with League of Legends. It might be that it's Mika and Cameron without me and Janne, because it might make sense that because you guys know League of Legends far better than we do. So let's see how we're gonna plan that out, but
Yeah, it's at least I will be there.
Yeah.
Let's see how Cameron's sleep schedule is after the weekend. But
yeah,
I think it might be pretty good to have our noob questions, though, if nothing
Yeah, I
else.
was thinking the same.
yeah. But
and at least you will maybe find something new from League of Legends.
Yeah, no,
Definitely.
I'm gonna be here. I think I really wanna see what you have to say, and I'll probably have quite a few questions because I want to learn the game better either way. So
yeah,
Yeah, and me and Cameron, we will do our research this weekend, and we will watch one of the games from this weekend on Monday. So let's see what matchup will be the best one for us to watch.
Shulk of Vitality.
sounds amazing.
who knows? Maybe it is the best. Maybe it is the best game of the weekend.
There is possibility that it actually is the best.
Yeah, there's always a chance. With that said, I think it's time to say thank you for those who's been watching our stream and for those who are watching it later on from YouTube. It's been a good 2 hours once again, and yeah, Mika and Cameron will be back with League of Legends tomorrow, and at least me, Janne, and Mika will be here on Monday, and we'll see if Cameron is at AM hours then. But thank you for watching, everybody. Thank you, Cameron, for tuning in. Janne and Mika, pleasure as always.
Good night, Cameron.
Oh, yeah. Good night.
All right, time to go offline. Thank you,
Yes.
everybody, and
All right.
see you tomorrow.
See ya.
See you tomorrow.